let us try this one. Okay, Kate, try again. Oh, dearie me. You cannot beat. Oh, so if you were just joining me, you probably would have been like, what the hell is she talking about? Well, just trying to go live in the group, but that wasn't working. So now I'm trying to go live on my phone. So we will see how this goes. So I'm going to try and invite someone along, which is the beautiful Kate. Okay, Kate, is there anywhere that you can see to add yourself into the group, please? There we go. Yes, you can come in. Okay. I think we are finally getting there. If you are watching this on replay, please.
All right. Can you see me?
Hang on, girl.
All right. I am on my phone as well.
There we go. Oh, it's so nice to have you here. I'm so excited. I'm sorry. For those of you who've just tuned in, guys, this is Kate McCauley, the fantastic Kate McCauley. She is a stress and mindset and habit coach. So our paths cross over a little bit, but it's really nice to get deep dive secrets and just a really good deep dive into mindset, especially with someone who knows exactly what they're talking about. So yeah, thank you so much for joining me. Technology is not my friend. It never has been, and I don't think it ever will, Kate, to be honest with you.
That's all right. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can. I was on my laptop and then switched to my phone because I was not seeing anything.
So I don't think you can actually go live with someone else on the laptop. So that's exactly what I've done, and I'm now live on my phone. So we're both on our phone because it clearly works.
We're making it work.
Exactly. My phone, I've also just seen that my phone is on 11%. So if I dash while you're talking, it's because I'm going to go and get a charger.
No worries at all.
Beautiful. All right. So because it's a bit of a pain in the butt to try and get it working. So if you're watching this live, type in live. If you're watching replay, type in #replay so we know that you are watching. And I will send out all the links after I've posted this because it's easier. Otherwise, I'm going to have to go back and change it. And we're not losing this now. So, Kate, please, can you explain exactly what you do so my audience know exactly who you are and what you do?
Sure. So first, thank you so much for inviting me to come chat with your community. I'm excited to be here. So I am located in the United States, right outside of Philadelphia. And what I do is I am founder and CEO of my wellness company named Dano. I run workshops, I do coaching one-to-one, group coaching, and I am a speaker at a variety of different events related to mindset. What I do really with everyone is I help people to shift so that they can live a happier and healthier life. And we do this through building habits. And it's been an amazing journey. I have been doing this for 2 years now. I probably have been doing a little bit of this my whole life and didn't realize it. I was an educator for 20 years. And last spring, I resigned from my education position and I work full time now in my company.
Brilliant. Amazing. And I've seen that you've written loads of books as well. I've seen that all over Amazon.
Yes, I have some self-published books related to my wellness. And actually, my littlest guy is dyslexic. So that's how that began. He and I wrote some books together. They're children's books. So, yeah, I just am jumping in all over the place.
Fantastic. Oh, that's beautiful. That's amazing. Well, thank you so much for introducing yourself. So what I really wanted to do is just break it down a little bit into stress and the effects of stress and how it's important and why it's important to really crack into it. Then I want to talk about building habits, because I feel like these are all kind of, they can be separate things and then integrating them together at the end. So the effects of stress, building habits for success, and then mindset. And then at the end, I'd love to just talk about like merging them all together. How does that sound? I'm just putting you on the spot.
That sounds wonderful.
Just to let anyone know, I haven't told Kate anything that I'm going to ask her. I'm literally just throwing her under the bus.
I love it. I love the open conversation. Those are usually the best conversations I have. And I always gain something from it. I did look into, I have clients who are plant-based. So when we get to that mindset, I went back and looked when they evaluate where they were when they started with me. And I got about 4 things that I found that were popping up for a lot of those clients. So I wanted to share that with your group, since I know you are the expert with plant-based living. So remind me. I have some notes here so I don't forget, but I went back and looked. So remind me
brilliant.
when we get to the mindset. Yep.
Yeah, of course. I'm just going to write that down there. Beautiful. Excellent. So, I mean, the title that I plastered this about was really, managing stress with healthy habits and shifting your mindset. So, I mean, how can we break this down? Let's just start talking about stress and the importance of being able to manage stress and stress in our environment and our physical beings as well.
Yeah, so stress can take over your life. If you do not deal with it in a healthy way, it can start coming up in different areas of your body. For example, when I was an educator, I loved being an educator. I was phenomenal as an educator, but the work environment became toxic and I wasn't dealing with it in a healthy way. I was smiling and showing up, and then my eyes started to tick. I was getting headaches. I was not sleeping well. My communication with my husband and my explosions sometimes with my children after school, we're doing homework and different things. And I would have this overflow of the stress coming out on the people I loved because I was bottling it up when I was trying to show up as the best version of myself, but it was all just a front. So I think it is so important to deal with it in a healthy way, because if you don't, you're going to have a ripple effect into all areas of your life. You will not show up as the best version of yourself. You deserve that personally. And for everyone that you encounter and that you love, they deserve to see the best version of yourself. So I think that's why it's important to deal with it. I do always say when I'm chatting or working with a client, this building habits for me when we're living our happiest and healthiest life, that does not mean it is always sunshine and rainbows. Stress happens. We cannot eliminate it. I do not sell a magic pill to get rid of all of your stress. Come on, that's just absolute craziness, right? So
it would be ideal. That, and along with, wealth and good health.
Yes, absolutely. So it is very important to acknowledge that when we do have stressful situations pop into our world, a roadblock comes up, if you're focusing on plant-based and you feel something causing stress that is causing you to derail your plan, that you have to learn to deal with it in a healthy way. It's not, I just posted on my own personal or my business page today that our emotions are not bad or good. The feelings that we get from stress, anger, guilt, judgment, whatever is popping up, that's not a bad thing. You have to feel it and deal with it. The good or bad or healthy or unhealthy is how you react and what you do with habits and just, in the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. And that really ties into something that I talk a lot about is you feel the feelings, but then you choose the emotions. Some people say it the other way around, but you get the sensations of fear or anger, They literally come up and they show up in your body, but then you get to choose to react however you react. So very similar with stress. If you can notice that you are building up with stress inside physiologically, or maybe your behaviors are changing, so you can notice that stress is building up, it's then a matter of, okay, how am I going to attack this going forward so it doesn't so I don't overwhelm myself? Is that right? Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. You got it there. You have to recognize it. Start to learn what causes you stress. And it doesn't mean you can necessarily get rid of those causes. Sometimes you can remove yourself from toxic relationships and different things, but other times you have to learn how to deal with it. So absolutely focusing on your body. And, you know, people would say to me, oh, I can see your eye twitching, you know, and, oh, you must be so tired. And oh yeah, you know, I'm a mom, I'm tired, this kind of thing. No, I was in this toxic situation. I had to start to realize what is causing this stress, and then what can I do to manage it in a healthy way.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, I had an experience of that myself, and it was the first time I'd ever experienced this before. Never knew what it was. I had just taken on 2 courses. I just started my health coaching course, and I just started the WSET, which is a wine and spirits education training. And I was kind of in a split middle down a path. I was like, right, do I go down the health path or the wine path? Because both were really interesting to me at the time. And at the same time as starting these, I then got promoted. So I had a lot more responsibilities at work, and then had these on my plate. And one day at work, I felt this numbing sensation creeping up my thumb. And I was like, oh, that's weird, carry on. And it dripped. It was almost like filling up a glove, right? And it dripped down into the next finger, and to the next finger, and it carried on. And then it started pulling up here, and it was numb. So wherever it was dripping, it left numb. Then it came all the way up here, all the way down here, and then it started feeding up into one side of my face, and then down onto the other. And it was the weirdest sensation, and it was like my body was filling up with this numbness. And then it went down and same into each individual finger slowly over about half an hour. I was like, well, that was really weird, wasn't it? At work, carried on, and then a couple of hours later, it was really stressful at work. And then all of a sudden, it felt like I'd just put sunglasses on, and all I could see was yellow, white, and red dots. I was trying to take an order off of a table, and I just couldn't process. Like, they asked for scallops, and I was writing boar, whatever it was. You know, I was writing completely different words to what I was hearing, and I knew that was going wrong. And I was like, what the hell is going on? And then, because it was just so intense and so strange, and the confusion was so overwhelming, I just had this panic attack. Went to the doctors the next day, complaining of a headache and all of these symptoms. And then the following day, I couldn't hold a sentence down without understanding what the start of the sentence was. And it felt like really late, like dementia. I was like, what is going on here? And then I found out that it was actually, I experienced an aura around a migraine.
Oh, wow.
And I never heard this before. I don't know. Please let me know if any of you guys have heard this before. But it's this strange physical like sensations that happen, followed by the migraine, followed by the confusion. And then a couple of days later, it just kind of vanishes. And that is just a perfect, for me, that is like the epiphany of my body going, you are stressed. You have taken on way too much, and I don't know how else to react. So for me, that's probably being one of the most significant ways that I've been able to tell that I am stressed.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's pretty powerful. You know,
it's a bit crazy. It was really weird to experience. Interesting in hindsight, but at the time I was like, what the hell is going on?
Right. Scary, I'm sure. And that, you're right, that is your body sending you a huge message that you need to pull it back, take care of you, slow it down. So what did you end up doing? Did you
just waiting it out?
Okay.
I just waited it out, and then a few days after the confusion, so maybe about five days after the initial like numbness and tingling, I was back to normal.
Okay.
And the confusion just kind of slowly got less and less over the last couple of days. But yeah, it was really bizarre. My battery's on 2%. I'm gonna have to nip off. so yeah, like there's the physiological and the mental side. So
Sure.
when you talk about stresses and emotions, what would you experience when you're in that stress state, or your clients, what do they experience?
Sure, you go get your course. So what I would experience, very similar to what Bianca just said, that I would feel my body getting to this point that I'm ready to explode. A lot of my clients say this, that they feel an overwhelm of just everything's coming at once. You know, I can't hold all of the bags I'm responsible for, all of the hats that I wear, and I'm going to explode. For me personally, that does sometimes come out as a panic attack. You know,
Mm-hmm.
physically, I can feel myself not being like, I can't breathe. It's all coming at me at once. And a lot of my clients will tell me that they really do feel like they're exploding, and sometimes they do explode. And it often is on the people that they love most, because everywhere else they're wearing those hats and showing up like, hey, I'm smiling, everything's perfect, I can do everything. And you can manage a lot of things, but you get to a tipping point when stress keeps piling on that you will eventually explode. And it comes out, maybe in some of my clients tell me that they're screaming, they're yelling, they're crying, they, you know, can't breathe, they're feeling like the panic attack symptoms of just like feeling like flushed and overwhelmed, and that it literally just takes over. You know, maybe they get a headache, they have to just, there's a lot of things that they experience. And then we talk about tools that they can create these habits, pull from their toolbox when they feel it coming. And as you mentioned, you're completely right, that they have to learn to recognize those symptoms, those feelings, and the situations that trigger them. Because often it is these same situations that are triggering these very strong symptoms that cause them to have all of those strong emotions and, you know, outburst explosions.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's the same with habits, which probably leads us nicely on as a nice little segue. Like building habits, if you don't understand the core trigger, then the symptom just becomes something that you are used to. Does that make sense? So, you know, if you don't understand what it is that's causing you the stress, is it a certain person? Is it a certain situation? Is it finances? What is it?
Right.
Because if you don't figure out and work out the solution to that particular problem, the symptoms are going to keep coming up, the stress is going to keep coming back, or the bad habits are going to keep coming back.
You're just going to keep repeating the same cycle. That's exactly what will happen.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's like when I get clients come in and they say, yeah, well, I sat down and you know, I finished work and I sat down and I ate a whole bag of chips. If you're from the UK, I'm referring to like crisps, potato chips.
Right.
And so what is the cue? What are you trying to soothe? Is it an emotion? Is it time? Is it comfort? And it's really, really boiling it down and figuring out what that problem is. And again, I think that leads us nicely onto building habits, which is super, super important to help manage that stress as well. So how do you integrate habit building with managing stress?
Sure. So everyone I work with, if it's a client one-to-one, group coaching, if I'm jumping in and talking with a group, or if I'm a keynote speaker, there are 3 things that I tell everyone that you need to do. And within each step, there, you have to, you know, pull it apart. But the first one is your mindset. You need to shift to believe that you can. That takes work, and it takes someone to guide you. You have all of the answers within you, but you need to start believing that you can. And I can give you some tips about how to do that, but I want to go through the 3. So the second one is strategy. You need a strategy for your group in the plant-based transformation. They need someone like you who's an expert to walk them through the steps of how to make this a lifestyle change. You cannot just say, I'm going to wish and pray that I am going to now be plant-based. That's ridiculous. You need a strategy. So once you get the mindset, believing that you can, there's some things I can tell you how to do that. You need a strategy. Whatever it is that you want to do in life, a new habit that you want to build, a new career, you're starting a business, You need a plan and a strategy to get there. And then number 3 is that you cannot quit. And to do that, in many, if not most cases, you need someone to keep you accountable. Because how many times have we set a goal? And anyone who listens now or on the replay, I know I saw one, I think it was Wendy who jumped in. I saw a name pop up. How many times, those who are listening, have you set a goal and you might do really well the first day or two, and then something happens, you give up, you have these negative chatter that creeps in, well, I didn't do it for a day or two. I quit. And you give up on yourself. Many times you need someone or a group of people to keep you accountable so that you don't quit. That is the biggest thing that I see with clients who come to me. They have a general idea of what they want to do. Maybe their goal is to be plant-based, and they know that how they want to do this a little bit. They need some strategy to get there and, an exact plan, but they have a general idea of how to do it. And once they get that strategy, that last part to keep them accountable so they don't quit is usually the biggest part, because we often, especially women I work with, we take care of everyone else and we stop taking care of ourselves, and we just let our to-do list, of our own needs float away, and then we end up quitting. And that's really the only time you fail. If you have one bad day in the strategy, or even 3 or 4 bad days, it's okay. Refocus, start again. But that last component, people need that if they want to reach the goals.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like to add there as well, if you've had a few bad days, that doesn't mean you've quit.
Right.
It just means that you need that accountability back in. You need to reconnect with your strategy, and you need to understand exactly where your mindset is at and where you want it to be.
Right.
Just because things have slipped off or you've fallen off the bandwagon, however you see or perceive this journey of what's always going to be ups and downs.
Sure.
It doesn't mean you've quit. As soon as I know that as soon as some of my clients feel like they've fallen off, or they're not working as hard as they used to be, it's like, oh, well, I might as well quit now. I'm like, you can't quit now, because this is the most groundbreaking time for you. If you can carry on through that mindset of I want to quit, you can carry on through anything.
Absolutely. You have to go back to what your why is, what motivates you. Why do you want to be plant-based? Why do you want to go down this path? Because all of us have things that happen. And that's when, if you can push through to the other side, like you said, you can really see that transformation. It will be worth it. If you take anything from our conversation today, those who are listening now or on the replay, push through so that you can get to the other side, because the transformation is incredible and it is really worth it. And it's easy to look back and say, oh, I'm missing out on this. But if you could look forward and focus on what you're going to gain, and once you get there, it's so worth it. It is so worth it.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more with you, Kate. Beautiful. Okay, so the effects of stress, it shows up in many which ways, emotionally and physically. I mean, I've got a whole list here. You've got your increased cortisol production, there's increased nutrient excretion, the whole list goes on. Decreased thyroid hormone, increased blood cholesterol, increased inflammation, decrease in sex hormones. Nobody wants that realistically, do they? Increased food sensitivities, decrease in growth hormones. There is so much. The list is endless. So physiologically, your body does not operate in a stressed state, in a stress response.
Right.
Emotionally, we can't see like the what is it, the wood? No, what's the saying I'm thinking of? The wood through the trees. No, that's the wrong. I can't think of it.
It'll you.
Someone's going to comment and be like, is this? you know, you've really got to see that end goal. And if your mental state is so clouded, it makes it very, very difficult to pursue and carry on.
Sure.
So, you know, you've got that mental, you've got the physical states of stress. Then we've talked about building habits and the importance of that. And I love your 3 key points: mindset, strategy, and do not quit.
Right.
Just don't fucking quit, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Just don't do it.
Yeah.
And if you feel like you're going to,
that's okay. There's all the shoulds and, you know, the what you're supposed to do in this world, and so many different negative thoughts that come through, that if you keep allowing those to float through your brain and that, you know, I quit, I give up, that's what's going to happen. Whatever you focus on, that will become your reality. And I mean, how many times have we quit and then you felt, this is fucking horrible, I don't want to feel this feeling anymore. You know, we don't like that feeling. So what if you say, not this time, and you're going to push those, you know, thoughts of I quit, I give up, I can't do this, it's too tough, and you keep going. Well, let's see what happens, right?
Yeah, I like that. And if there's one thing that someone can take away with that's super tangible, is next time you feel like quitting, say that.
Yeah.
You know,
talk back.
Not today.
Yeah, not today.
Go away.
Talk back to that chatter that comes in, because it will creep in. That's what happens. And when you talk back and say, nope, not today, this is a hard no for me, I am going to keep going, and you start to retrain your brain to focus on where you want to go and reflect back on your goals and your why that you were on this journey, you will be successful. You really will.
Absolutely. And it's all in the power of the mindset. That's exactly what we're talking about, mindset there. You know, your mind might be telling you to quit, but your mindset is telling you, no, not today.
Right.
I'm going to carry on. Beautiful. So yeah, building healthy habits and mindset. Is there anything else before we talk about tying them all together about mindset that you'd like to add?
Yeah, so I told you, I looked back, some of my clients, so what I do with my program is I am not specific. You are the expert in plant-based, for example. So I am not specific for a certain type of eating or a certain type of movement. I guide my clients through mindfulness. So we talk about mindful moving. We talk about mindful eating. So my clients pick their own goal. And if they wanted a plant-based expert, I would sometimes say, well, I know a girl, go see her. But I help them, guide them in creating those goals, evaluating where they are, creating the goals. And when I was looking back, I wanted to go back to a couple women who wanted to become plant-based. And I went back to look at their evaluation to see, what did they say when my questions posed to them? Why is this hard for you? What is a block that comes up? And I have them written here, so I wanted to glance over and look. So the first one was that they said it was too hard. And what we moved through there with the mindset, this too hard concept can be in a lot of different areas. But if you're shifting to become plant-based, what we did, and you can tell me if you think this works well, it seemed to with my clients, but we did baby steps, you know, and we had to refocus often when things became too hard. Oh, the other big part was that we investigated with kindness towards ourselves when something happened and you went off the path, or, you know, you didn't follow your plan. So the baby steps, when it was too hard, yes, you can do this. Set a small goal that is, you know, related to your big goal. That was a huge one. A second one that came up a lot was, I feel like I can't change. You can't teach an old dog new tricks kind of thing. And for that one, I went back to what really motivates you, you know, your why again. You can change. You have to want to, the mindset, all of that we just talked about. The next, this was another one that comes up, and this comes up often with my plant-based clients who are trying to, whoops, I got a text coming, I had to move that, that they feel like they're missing out, that, you know, what they use. Is that something you see? Yeah,
I coach a lot around what I call the abundance mindset. There's a huge piece of my coaching that revolves around abundance mindset, because often, and I'm sure you'll be able to fill me in, often we come from a lack mindset of it's not going to be enough, I don't have enough, and there's not enough to eat, enough. You know, there's so much around that people perceive about a plant-based diet, but as soon as you shift the mindset, you're coming from a completely different angle, and you can actually see.
That's exactly, I was taking notes and I put missing out, and then I went, what did I do with this client? So that abundance idea, that we need to look ahead to, what did I write down? I want to make sure I shared it. Oh, that I didn't want them to look backwards. They need to look ahead to what they're going to gain from this shift and this change. And that really it is an abundance of lots of wonderful things when you're making this shift. So it's easy for us to say, but now I don't have this, or I'm going to miss this, I'm going to miss that. But again, if you go back to your why, your goals, you know, if it's trimming down, losing weight, having more energy, whatever the reason for that, each person is unique, but whatever their reason is what you need to focus on when you feel like, oh, I feel like I'm going to be missing out if I try this. So that one came up a lot for a lot of the women I work with. And then the last one, that there was a lot of things that came up for my plant-based when this was their goal to transition. But this last one, my family and friends aren't in. So, and I looked back at my notes, and I said here, one, you don't need your family and friends to be in with you for you to make a change. This is your life. These are your goals. And what often happens with my clients in many changes that they make in their life is that once they start making a change, sometimes their family and friends join in. It's inspiring to them, and they jump in on the journey. And my clients will tell me by the end of the program or during our coaching sessions, Kate, guess what? My kids are doing it now. Guess what? Now my husband does it. My mom wants to know about this. My coworkers are, how are you doing this? Tell me what you did. And they are finding that initially they had this fear almost around, you know, what will other people think, or my friends and family aren't in. And first I tell them, this is your journey. And just because they're not in doesn't mean that you can't keep going down this path. It also, you have to realize that some people fear that if you change, that this affects them now because you're not going to be involved in the same situations they were involved in. Your relationship with those people sometimes can change. And it scares those people a little bit when you're creating new habits. And you have to learn to say, this is my life. These are my goals. Go back to your why. So those were I wanted to share that with all this.
Yeah, no, absolutely. They are all beautiful. And honestly, all of those concerns and mindset shifts that need to change, I get that with 99% of my
okay. All right. So my clients are not all plant-based, but I went back and looked at the ones who are. I wanted to see a common thread, and that's what I found.
There is absolutely 100%. Yeah. Yeah, that last piece about tying in the family is so interesting, because you start off as the stranger, as the person that they can't identify with, because you've eaten meat, you've eaten eggs, you've eaten bacon, you know, you eat at the Sunday roast every day, every weekend, with the family, and now suddenly you're bringing a nut roast. Who are you? Who is this new person? You know, they're not part of our family. Ha 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 ha. They laugh it off.
Right.
Which is so soul destroying on a much deeper level.
Yeah.
But then after they start seeing your skin clear up, your energy lifting, your mood is lifting, your positivity, your weight is dropping off, and you're becoming a much more healthier person, they're like, what have you changed? What are you doing?
Right.
And then suddenly you shift from being the stranger to the inspiration. And it happens more often than not.
Absolutely.
Because with a plant-based lifestyle, and I don't know what your lifestyle or diet is, but with a plant-based lifestyle, these things generally naturally happen to 99% of people. And then so that shift in the family dynamics or the friend dynamics, it changes as well. And you become the inspiration, you become the leader, the teacher, you know, and the motivator for everyone else to be healthier and happier. And I mean, how incredible is that, to have that opportunity to give to other people?
Just as I told you earlier that there's ripple effects from your stress when you are dealing with all of that and not managing it in a healthy way, creating healthy habits, the same exact thing happens when you do something positive. And as you're just saying, you're inspiring others. There is a ripple effect where people will start to come to you as that expert or tell me what you are doing. I want to feel those positive vibes. I want to be, better skin, all of those things you just listed. So the ripple effects can go either way. Whatever direction you're, sending out or things that you're doing, it does have ripple effects in all areas of your life. So.
Oh, massively. Like if you think about it and you're having a bad day and you come home and then your partner says, hey, how was your day? Oh, actually, it was really crap, blah, blah, blah. Suddenly you're bringing that energy down. Yeah. So absolutely, regardless of which way, you do have a ripple effect. And also regardless of whether you intend to or not. It's just natural. It's natural vibrations. It's natural energy.
Yes, absolutely.
I could talk about this for hours and days.
I know. Same.
This is brilliant. Okay, so I had a question about mindset and success. So, I mean, we know that changing your mindset to receive success is important. Like, what would be the path or the journey to take to shift that to receive success?
I'm so glad you brought that up because it was going through my mind as I was thinking about these things. So I would say that you need to start showing up as your future self. And you can do that by creating some habits. One huge one that I think would be beneficial to your community would be to have some affirmations that you put out into the world and say them to yourself every day. Write them down. My office is under construction. I'm in the kitchen, or I would show you my board. But I have a board that is in my office that is specifically for my business. And then I have affirmations that I write down and I just let flow through my brain about wellness and health. And I have a long list. But when you're trying to become plant-based or whatever your goals are and habits you want to create that affirmation, the I am statement. Maybe it is something as simple as I am going to do my best to be living a plant-based lifestyle. I'm just making it up as I'm sitting here, but whatever you create, it should be something that you're showing up as your future self. And then at first, I'm going to warn everyone listening, you will have this imposter syndrome that seeps in, like, who does she think she is? She's not this, she's not that, whatever it is your affirmation or I am statement is that you're creating. But as you say it over and over again, literally, I write it on sticky notes. I have it on my marker board in my office. When I'm in the shower, I'm saying it. I drop my kids off at school. After I drop them off, I'm saying it. I make my kids even have affirmations about having a good day. So if you keep saying these things out loud or to yourself mentally, you will retrain your brain, and that is what you will become. It is absolutely backed by science that your reticular activating system, which is, your brain wanting to be right and creating those habits and looking for answers. When you say to yourself, I am, whatever it is you're putting in the affirmation, and you repeat it and you keep saying it, you will start to show up like that woman. You will start to act like whatever that statement is, because your brain wants to be right. Will you have a day where shit gets crazy? Absolutely. Absolutely. It is not sunshine and rainbows, but then you can come back to it and you can say the affirmation again and you can refocus and get back on that path, and you will be shocked at how you change. For example, last April, when I told you I quit my job and started my business full time, I kept saying to people, I am an educator. I was an educator. That doesn't come out of my mouth anymore. When I talk to people, I say, I am founder and CEO of my company, and this is what I do. Yeah, love right. It. And it is natural to me now in a little over a year that's what I am, and that's who I show up as. And in the beginning, the imposter syndrome does happen. So I'm going to warn you when you start these affirmations that it's normal to feel that way. But as we said earlier, keep pushing, push through, keep saying it, and that mindset will shift so that you start showing up and you are living the plant-based lifestyle, whatever it is that the affirmation they create.
Absolutely. So, I mean, how frequently would you want as like a minimum to do this? Because I know there's no maximum amount of times that you say something positive.
That's a great question. That is a great question. So I would say every morning at minimum, you say it. Every morning, say it. If I was coaching someone, I would say let that flow through your brain as much as possible. Whatever that affirmation is, let it flow through your brain, and it will just start to come to you. That'll become a habit that you say the affirmation all the time, you know. But at very minimum, I would say write it down on a sticky note or, you know, in a journal, whatever you look at first thing in the morning, and see it and say it. A very minimum once a day in the morning. But if I could, you know, encourage you to let it float all day, do it. Bring it in, and then it will come to you when you need it. When those roadblocks come up, and that, you know, the family and friends issue, you're going out to dinner, you're going to have a busy weekend, and how am I going to manage this lifestyle, and, you know, plan ahead kind of thing, then the affirmations will float through your brain and help you during those times, because you are continuously repeating it to yourself. Yeah, absolutely. And I have a client with low self-esteem at the moment, and I said to her, every day I want you to write on a sticky note a positive affirmation, stick it on the fridge, because I can just see after a couple of weeks that whole fridge covered in these positive, strong, emotive, I love that.
Just bringing energy to every time she walks into the kitchen. Like, how beautiful is that? Like a whole fridge covered in sticky notes.
She deserves that. She deserves to see that, because there are so many. I have clients like this too, who just have this thought of that they're not enough, and the self-esteem. And once they can start to see that on her fridge, I'm going to steal that, by the way, for people, that you see it. It's right there in your face. She deserves to be reminded of those wonderful attributes of herself, because that's who she is. Yeah. You know, and that's great. I love that. I'm going to steal it.
And you can't ignore 100 sticky notes in a fridge, right?
You cannot. You cannot. They are right there in your face. I love it. I absolutely love it.
Excellent. All right. So, it's been such an awesome talk. Thank you so much for coming in to the community and giving us your expertise. It's so wonderful to go through all of this and just really, really show people that everything that you want to achieve, you can achieve.
Absolutely.
I think the biggest thing that holds us back is our own mindset. And like you mentioned earlier about the imposter syndrome coming in, like even I do it. I write in my journal every day. I write 3 things that I'm grateful for. I journal stuff that's on my mind. I write 3 affirmations, and then I write my goals in present tense. And those affirmations, I will write them, and then I will read them out loud, and then I'll highlight and read them out loud. But that's all I do. I only say it like 3 times, and that's in the morning. So I just need to keep that present more often throughout the day. But it just goes to show that your mindset really is the biggest barrier for you to receiving everything that you want. And as soon as you swap that, as soon as you change that, as soon as you shift it by building in healthy habits, mindset habits, stress management habits every single day, it really can just flip your life around and just see you catapulting straight to success.
Yeah, complete transformation. And you're so right. You can do it. You need those 3 things. You need that mindset to believe you can, a strategy, someone to keep you accountable.
Fantastic. Speaking of strategy, Kate, what strategies do you have for your clients?
So I have my signature program, and they go through 8 steps. Through the journey, we focus on all different areas of your lifestyle, but really the 4 pillars of lifestyles of wellness. So your lifestyle, your eating habits, your mindset, and your movement. So your mindset with your attitude. I focus a lot of attitude of gratitude, you know, focusing on, like you said, I do a gratitude journal each day as well. And that is a big step for my clients, to focus on what they are grateful for right now in the present, being mindful. And that usually sends more messages their way when you know, if you do it every day, that when you focus on gratitude, you have more to be grateful for. So Yeah, so that is a huge one for my clients. I would say some of their other strategies are that we evaluate where they are. We set goals. I use SMART goal techniques so that they are very specific. We then learn to flip the script and we create habits within. So flipping the script for your attitude, your mindset, and we look at eating through a mindful lens. Why am I eating? You know, how am I feeling about this? You know, eating for boredom, different reasons why you want to eat a certain way, if it's plant-based, or maybe I have some clients who want to like cut sugar completely. So lots of different viewpoints and a lens of mindfulness. Same with moving. I don't work with clients and say, you have to take a spin class, you have to be a runner. Instead, mindful moving is we look at what do we love, what are our goals, what makes you happy and brings you joy when you are moving, and to move more. That's really the ultimate goal, to be moving as much as possible. And the last part with the lifestyle is we bring all of those things together so that you can live the happiest and healthiest life. And you deserve that. And we do focus on feeling all of your emotions, you know, investigating with kindness and nurturing all of your feelings, because they're not bad or good. You need to, it often gives you a message, you know, when you're feeling a certain emotion. Maybe it's with eating and then you feel guilt about those potato chips that you spoke about. Now we can think about, why is that happening? What do I want to do? Let's go back to my goals. So that's really what I do. I do have a freebie that is the 7 steps to happier and healthier. And that can be found right on my website. You go there, there's a pop-up. I make it simple. As soon as you see it, you can put your email in, you will get the 7 steps to happier and healthier. And that's just a little guide to tell you what could we start doing right now so that you can get on this journey. And it really isn't specific, like I said, for anything. It could be plant-based. It could be you want to exercise more. You want to stop exploding and yelling at your kids or your partner or whatever it is. So those steps will help you start that journey.
Brilliant, brilliant, amazing. Well, I think you've wrapped everything up so beautifully.
Thank you.
If you're watching this on replay or even live, please, if you have any questions, drop them below and then tag Kate. So it's Kate McCauley. Did I pronounce that right?
Yes, you got it.
Yeah. Kate McCauley, please tag her so she can see. Otherwise, she won't be able to answer any questions. Is that okay?
Absolutely. I will definitely be popping in and checking it.
Yeah, absolutely. If you've got any questions, please do, and I will change the information on this video so you have Kate's Instagram, Facebook, and website, so you can get that freebie. Like she said, as soon as you pop onto her site, you've got a box straight away to grab that freebie.
Yeah.
To being happy and healthy, and who doesn't want that, honestly?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, I think that wraps it up beautifully. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. I'm very grateful. That was one of my gratitude little, I do 3 a day, actually. I might steal your goals. I don't do all of those in the morning, but I do 3 things I'm grateful for. The first 3 that pop into my head. And today was internet access to come to you, you know, across the pond, as some people say.
Yeah.
So I'm very grateful that I got to chat with you and your community. So thank you.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I was just going to show you. Like, this is my journal every day.
Love it.
My little book. And you know, I've got my 3 things that I'm grateful for, highlight that. I kind of do like a brain dump, you know, anything that's going on, and then my affirmations, and then my goals. And it's always so important to put your goals in present tense. Very true. Because that's that mindset of abundance, and you know, it's gonna happen. Absolutely, I would agree. I can't say that was my idea. I definitely stole it, but I can't remember from the life of me who I heard. It's okay. We get our best ideas from other collaborations. As an educator and now as a coach, I learn that all the time. I stole an affirmation last week from a group I chatted with. I think they were in Florida here in the United States, and the affirmation was amazing, you know, and it was, you could take this as a coach, but it was, I hope I get it right. It was, I am the missing piece to every opportunity that presents itself to me. And I stole it and I put it on my board. That's strong. Isn't it though? So
we are always gaining from other people. So I appreciate you sharing that journal, and I might add some of it into my world too. So thank you.
Love it. I'm going to have to rewatch this back because there's been so many points that you've brought up that I'm like, oh, I could add this to my coaching program and this and that. So thank you so much.
Yes.
You've been amazing, Kate. Thank you so much. I'll get in touch with you personally after this, but I will also tag Kate in there so you all have her contact details. Thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate you. You're amazing. Thank you for doing what you do. And hopefully we'll get some of our community over onto your community as well.
Sounds wonderful. Have a great day.
And you take care, darling. Bye.